Okay, let's take a look at what we're going to be doing today. So today really gets at the heart of the entire course for me. So this is the most important thing to me that you learn coming out of this class, and it has nothing to do with science. So what we're going to look at today is an introduction to Excel. Right, so you guys for homework last night were looking at kind of the basic functions of Excel when it comes to entering data and visualizing it in graphs and things like that. So the Excel program is, in my opinion, the most important computer program in white collar work. So anybody that's paid a good salary is going to be using Excel to do the vast majority of their work. It just has thousands of different functions that it's capable of doing. And one of the most important, and probably the most important from your perspective, is its ability to do math for you. So there really is nobody anymore that sits around at a desk with a piece of paper and a pen in their hand, scribbling math equations down. Even at the highest levels of science and math, this stuff is done using computer programs. So, because of that, I don't want to have you guys spending time doing something that you really are not going to benefit as much from unless you're very focused on a science or a math career, right? You still, in that case, you're going to need to know how to manipulate equations, write equations, create equations, all that kind of stuff, and that's where paper and pencil comes into play. Really, it's for the scratch work. But those that are not going to be doing science or math as a career, you know, are you going to be getting a lot from me spending time forcing you to come sit here with a paper and a pencil and do math on there? Probably not. But with Excel, your ability to use this program is applicable to pretty much any, like I said, white collar job, any type of high paying career that you could choose. We're looking at Excel programming. So that's really why it's the most important thing for me, because it's useful in any field and really in any endeavor. If you're starting your own business, anything like that, this is where all the books are kept. This is where your accounting is done. Like an understanding of this allows you to do so many things. And there are not many people that understand it very well. So I spend my entire year here doing everything on Excel. Even if I have you turn in something involving written work where you're writing responses to questions, I still give you an Excel spreadsheet to write that stuff on. That's how important this is to me. I want you to be using it every single day because I want you to become more familiar with it. So the work yesterday, like I said, the homework was looking at just basic data entry and some of it, the ways that you can use that data then to create graphs and get visual images, visual understanding of numerical data. Today, what we're going to look at is how you actually do the math. So what do you need to do in order to get the Excel program to do the math for you? So the first thing you're going to do is I'm going to give you 5 minutes. We're going to look at exactly what a mathematical variable is. So over the next couple weeks, we're going to do various foundational math concepts. And so I'll be talking to you a lot about how I just never understood what math was. And that's why I couldn't do it. So no one really ever took the time to explain to me what the purpose of a math equation is, what it meant, what it was used for, where it came from, all that stuff. I was just had teachers teaching me, okay, this is what when you see this equation, this is what you do. You move this over here and you do this to that. You factor this out. I had no clue what really why I was doing any of it. I didn't know what the purpose was. And ultimately I realized that that's why I never understood math. So my when it comes to math in this class, my main focus is on do you understand exactly what is going on here? I don't care so much as to whether you get the right answer at the end of something. So unlike in math class where really all I seem to care about is whether at the end you get a correct answer, I don't care whether you get a correct answer. I care whether you can tell me what a math equation is explaining. What is that particular equation telling you? That's what I'm looking at in here. So to start, I just have, like I said, I got this video here. So in the first 5 minutes of class, we're going to take this time to watch this video. Just what is a math variable? I mean, it seems simple, but I honestly, even into college, the beginning of college, I realized I didn't really understand what it was. So there's our warm up. Now we have the activity. So the activity here, I'm going to do a couple of example problems with you, but like I've been telling you for a couple days now, listening to me talk about it is not going to be useful to you. It's actually getting your hands on it. But having said that, I have some additional lectures here. So I've done, I don't know, 45 minutes of example problems on how you program a computer to do some math for you. So I got that stuff here. So I've included that in this part. I've also created these steps. So very simple steps for you to check off as you go along. So this is what I do for almost everything in this class. My instructions are not telling you how to do something. It's giving you a process on how it's done. So again, we'll talk more about this, but complicated things require step-by-step processes in order to go from the beginning to the end of that thing and successfully achieve whatever it is you're achieving. It doesn't matter in what form this complicated process is. It could be math, it could be science, it could be some sort of art form, it could be sports, it could be playing video games. Like there's certain procedures and processes and motions that you have to go through, and they have to be done in a certain order, and they have to be done every single time, or else you don't end up in the correct location at the end. And this is another thing that I didn't realize about math. When it comes to math, the reason I stuck at it is because every time I got a math equation, I was just doing random stuff. I didn't realize that if I created a set of procedures for every single math equation, and I approached every math equation with these same procedures, that suddenly I was getting the answers correct. I suddenly started to understand what was going on. So that's what I give you when it comes to almost all of my instruction. I don't tell you what to do. I give you a set of processes that you go through. So this is what you think. So you do this, and then you do this, and you do this. And if you do these things every time you're presented with a problem like that, all of a sudden stuff starts to make sense and you start to get stuff correct. And that's because complicated things have to be done very systematically. And again, it doesn't matter what it is you're doing. If you're shooting a free throw, you're doing the exact same motion every single time. You're not a good free throw shooter unless you can repeat the same motion and the same process every single time you do it. If every time you go to shoot a free throw, your elbow's in a different spot or the ball's in a different location as you bring it up, or you're shooting it from a different spot as you're going up and down, you're going to be a terrible shooter, right? The best shooter, Steph Curry, is the best shooter in the game because he has perfected the same motion over and over and over again. So every time he takes a shot, it's exactly the same motion. And that took him years and tens of thousands of practice shots in order to perfect that motion. And that's the same thing that we do with math or science. You need a process. You need to do that process every single time. And because of that, it takes a long time for your brain to learn that process, for it to become muscle memory. Now, at this point, Steph Curry doesn't think about his shooting, right? It's muscle memory. His brain does it automatically. But it took years and years and years and a ton of practice for that to occur. And this is another thing I didn't understand about math. Math is the same thing. It takes a long time for your brain to develop this math memory that allows you to approach problems with this same mindset each time. And that's when you start to understand things and you start to get stuff correct. So I've given you these steps here. Okay, so notice here that your assignment is not attached to this. So it is because I need you to turn a document in, is in the team site. So if we go over here you'll find the assignment. So I've got a bunch of stuff here. This here, your student work, this is your basic assignment. So I've built this particular workbook to walk you through the process of entering equations into a spreadsheet. So if we click on this is going to open up, and I've built this for you to work with your group on. So here I tell you what to do in each of these spots. So this is where I give you a sample question and then I ask you to do something. So just like yesterday's homework, I have this built out where you just enter something. So here you would enter your values in these blank spots. And if you get the answer correct, this will turn green. If not, then it just says try again. So you can see right now there's nothing entered here, so it says try again. Right? But if you do this part correctly, it'll turn green and you can move on. Right? So that's what we have here. So each of these questions gets a little bit more complex, and it allows us to progress in our understanding and to practice. So this is the main sheet here. So again, I built it so that you can work with your group on actually getting your hands on this instead of listening to me. So the point of this is to get your hands on it. And this is where you can, my form here, this is actually the steps here, but it's not working on this particular program. But if you go back to our notebook, this is where you can do these steps. So each time you see one of these, in order to successfully enter an equation into Excel, we need to follow the same steps each time. So here you just go through and you check this off. Okay, I did this. Next, I do this. Next, I do this. So if we do that every time, we end up at the correct result at the end. So that's the main practice sheet that we're working on here. For those that see value in this and are interested, these are additional practice sheets. So you're free to do this as additional practice if you want. But like I said, everything that we do in this class, we're going to be using spreadsheets on. Are you going to understand it the first time you do it? So when you get to the end of this sheet, are you going to feel like you really know what you're doing? No, but that's perfectly normal and it's okay. And I understand that. And it's why I'm not going to penalize you by grading this. So I'm not going to give you an F on it if you don't understand this after 7 practice questions, right? That's not the way it works. I've just spent 3 days now explaining to you that that's not the way learning works, right? So we're going to keep using it. By the end of the semester, guess what? You're going to be quite adept at using spreadsheets. You're going to have learned a valuable skill. So these are just the same lectures here that I have in the notebook. So it's the same thing that you have right here, lecture 1 and 2. These are the sample questions that I use. So I just posted those right there. For those that don't have a Chromebook yet, I have put it onto the website as well. So if we go into here, there's today, page 16, you'll see you have the same stuff here. So we can open that up. That's the main sheet there. So it'll download onto your computer. So you just go up here, we open up the file, and that'll open it up for you. So you can see here, this is what it's supposed to look like. You got a little control box here. So there's your steps. If you happen to download it on the computer, you'll see this where you can flip through here. Okay, next is this, next is this, next is this. Okay. And then we will come back, and our exit ticket for today is just a self-reflection on your learning. So when you go into the exit ticket, you just click on this, and it's just a bit of a feedback for yourself and for me as to, okay, after 1 day of doing this, how do I feel? And that'll pop up eventually. And any homework is just completed any incomplete questions. So that's what we are looking at for today.